Should I knit? Should I knit while I'm talking to you guys? So let's talk about apple cider vinegar. You guys, let's talk about that today. And about the apples in the cider and the Katy Perry. What does Katy Perry and apple cider vinegar have in common? She bought Bragg's. She bought Bragg's in 2019. Okay, I'm gonna stop knitting. This is stupid. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Let Me Learn Ya. I am Lana McCarthy. I am a registered dietitian with a master's in human nutrition. And in today's lesson, we will be talking about apple cider vinegar. The health foodie's favorite drink, maybe possibly more so than kombucha or that chia water that people drink. Ugh. I mean, it's not bad, but it's kind of weird, right? Apple cider vinegar has more claims on it than an insurance company. Is that a bad joke? It has been promised to promote weight loss, belly fat, lower cholesterol, lower blood sugar, improve insulin sensitivity, reduce acne, dandruff, increase energy, slow cancer cell growth, boost the immune system, cure eczema, prevent hair loss, clean your floors. It's antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral, alkalizing, metabolism firing and boosting, helps with digestion, soothes sore throats and upper respiratory infections, enhances your mood, cures acid reflux and heartburn, it heals your wounds, cures world hunger, it'll help you get along with your mother-in-law, and even make Power of the Dog an entertaining movie to anyone other than a critic. Yeah, I said it. That was a horribly boring movie, and I really didn't like it. And my best friend liked it and told me to watch it, and I'm still mad at you. Is it the miracle drink that so many influencers and now Katy Perry and very shady, questionable YouTube doctors claim that it is? No, it's not. Spoiler alert, you don't have to watch the rest of the video, you guys. Although you will want to watch the rest of the video because some of the claims are backed by science. Which ones? I can't possibly tackle all the claims in one video. I'm working very hard to make shorter videos. It seems to be that the most Googled claim is apple cider vinegar and weight loss. So that's the one that I will be tackling today. I'm breaking this video up into two parts because, again, I'm trying to make shorter freaking videos. This video is going to talk briefly on the history of apple cider vinegar, how it became the health tonic that it is today, how it's made, as well as what does the research say. And part two is going to be my summary of the research, what I think about it, my recommendations with apple cider vinegar, who might consider using it and who it's probably not good for, as well as if you're going to incorporate apple cider vinegar into your food regimen, how to do it in a safe and healthy way. So what the frick is vinegar and where did it come from? The term vinegar is Latin for sour wine, which makes sense because that's pretty much what it is. It has been used for thousands of years across pretty much every culture, across every continent and country known to us on this planet. Some people theorize that some poor schmo was trying to make wine, forgot about a jar that he was fermenting, and it turned sour. He was gonna throw it away, and his wife or friend or whatever was like, don't be throwing that shiz away. That can cure cancer and help with digestive problems and help with weight loss. And suddenly, poof, vinegar was made. That's how I like to pretend that it happened. It has been used to flavor and pickle foods, in sauces, salad dressings. If anybody's ever Googled a DIY cleaning anything for your house, vinegar is always involved. But it has also been used as an energizing drink tonic, as medicine, as treatment for various health woes and ills, to fight infections and clean wounds. Hippocrates, which apparently I pronounce wrong, even though that's the only way I've heard it pronounced. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, probably am. Would prescribe a vinegar and honey concoction for respiratory infections, coughs, and various types of illness. Because of this sometimes rumored and also sometimes documented usage of curing various health woes, apple cider vinegar, or vinegar in general, became known as this health tonic. They take apples, they crunch them down, they put them in water, and they let them ferment. And the natural yeast and bacteria that's on these apples starts fermenting the apples, converting the sugars into ethanol. Usually, when wine is made, that's the last stop. Now you've got an alcoholic beverage. But specifically with vinegar, there's a magical difference. When you allow it to continue, a bacteria converts the ethanol into acetic acid. And remember acetic acid, because we're going to be talking about that a lot, because that part of vinegar is the thing, that is the ingredient, the item, the magic sauce that is linked to all of its health benefits. There are filtered and unfiltered versions. The unfiltered version has something called the mother, which if you've seen it, it's beautiful. It's so cute. It's just this stringy little mass of nastiness, which has some of the bacteria and yeast that I mentioned before, as well as some cellulose and enzymes. A lot of people make claims that that's where the health effects are, drinking that mother, but there are no studies that I could find currently that supported that. Lastly, if you've never had apple cider vinegar before, let me describe it to you. It smells like if feet were made out of butts, and it tastes like if cheese was converted into lemon juice. Anybody who's had it agrees. If you don't agree, you're wrong. Lucky for y'all, there was a very recent meta-analysis that looked at 16 studies with 910 participants. The average length of the study was about 8 weeks long. There was no difference in BMI or weight when compared to placebo treatment. This is very important because there have been apple cider vinegar trials that don't compare the participants drinking the apple cider vinegar with a control group. And therefore, if they see weight loss, they don't know if the weight loss is coming from the apple cider vinegar or for some other reason. But there was a 2009 Japanese study that was very well designed. It was a randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled trial with 175 individuals. And they were looking to see if the benefits of weight loss that were being reported had to do with the dose. So they split their participants into 3 groups. Control group, one group got 15 milliliters of apple cider vinegar and the other got 30 milliliters. Oh, and the other thing that was great about the study is they limited any other types of foods that may affect the result. The participants weren't allowed to drink alcohol. They weren't allowed to eat off a list of foods that also contained acetic acid. What they observed was that the 2 groups that were drinking the apple cider vinegar had significant reductions in BMI, body fat, and weight when compared to the control group, and that it was dose dependent. Over 12 weeks, the participants that were drinking 15 milliliters of apple cider vinegar every day lost about 1 kilogram of weight, which equates to about 2 pounds, and the apple cider vinegar group that drank 30 milliliters a day lost about 2 kilograms or around 4-ish pounds. They had a 4-week follow-up where they ceased apple cider vinegar drinking. The 15 milliliter group basically gained back the weight they lost. And the 30 milliliter group basically gained back all the weight they lost except for about 1 pound. It contradicts what was found in the meta-analysis looking at multiple studies. There can always be one study that says something different from other studies. That's why we're constantly in science retesting things to see, was this a fluke? Did they not consider something? Unfortunately, I could only find a few studies on this, and they were teeny freaking tiny, you guys. 10 people. And like dudes. So we got one study where the participants reported feeling full, more full when they were drinking apple cider vinegar. And another study where they observed the apple cider vinegar group eating 200 to 250 calories less per day than the control group. But again, they were itty bitty teeny tiny yellow polka dot bikini studies. Then there were two older studies, one from 1998 and one from 2007, that observed that when people would drink apple cider vinegar with a meal, it slowed gastric emptying. Anything that slows down that pass off of food into your small intestine helps to stabilize your blood sugar, your triglycerides, all of that, because it's not immediately dumped into your small intestine and then immediately absorbed. The longer that it takes for that process to happen, the longer you feel full and satiated. And then the last study that looked into this, again, very small, the participants reported that they ate less and they felt more full drinking apple cider vinegar, but they said it was because it made them feel sick. So it may be that drinking apple cider vinegar literally makes you feel nauseous, and that's why you don't feel like eating as much. The reason why I'm bringing blood sugar into this, without hopefully going off on a big old rant about blood sugar, is that having your blood sugar unregulated, having spikes in blood sugar could potentially affect your weight. First of all, having a spike in blood sugar and then a rapid drop after will make you feel fatigued, shaky, cranky, tired, hangry, possibly anxious, maybe depressed, all of which we know can affect people eating more. There's also a current theory going around about, is it actually insulin and blood sugar that causes weight gain or something else? Anyway, it's an argument, so I figured why not? I'll talk about this too. This is where apple cider vinegar is pretty solidly supported by research. Most of the studies that I read observed a significant reduction in insulin resistance, blood sugar, postprandial, so after they eat a meal, fasting blood sugar, and A1C. And as is typical with research, some didn't, but the majority did. There was a 2019 narrative review that basically summarized all of the research conducted on animals and humans. I glance at animal studies to see where research is going, but I don't use that to back what I should be doing as a human being, unlike many cybros out there. I'm just gonna say, you guys use a lot of cellular and animal studies to tell people what to do. So in all of these studies, there was variations of how much apple cider vinegar the participants used when they took it. In general, it was around 1 to 6 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar per day. And usually that vinegar was ingested with a meal. Most of the time they were testing it with high carbohydrate meals. And what they saw was a 20 to 30% reduction in postprandial blood sugar when they took in a certain amount of apple cider vinegar. Some studies also saw an incremental reduction in insulin by as high as 33% post-meal. One study, they were looking at how apple cider vinegar affected blood flow and muscle intake of glucose after a meal. And what they found was that muscle glucose intake increased by about 35% with the apple cider vinegar. Research is establishing some sort of link between the acetic acid specifically in apple cider vinegar and blood sugar control. Now remember, I'm talking about apple cider vinegar here, but all vinegar has acetic acid in it. So balsamic, white, whatever. For some reason, people are all up in arms about apple cider vinegar. I don't get it. The acetic acid in vinegar slows down gastric emptying. That means you're going to feel full longer. It is going to help reduce a spike in blood sugar because that sugar is going to be slowly and gradually digested and absorbed. For some reason, it seems to increase blood flow and increase uptake of glucose in your muscle cells, which will then be using that glucose as energy. It has been observed to inhibit certain enzymes that break down complex carbohydrates, which means you're not breaking down those complex carbohydrates to its most simple form. Not all of them are going to be digested. Less carbohydrates absorbed, less spike to your blood sugar. It has also been shown to reduce fasting morning glycemia, consistent with an effect of acetic acid on the glycolysis / gluconeogenesis cycle in the liver. Basically, what has been observed is that acetic acid somehow alters that process so that less blood sugar is dumped into your bloodstream in the morning. As mentioned earlier, the meta-analysis did not find any difference in body fat percentage. However, that Japanese study that I mentioned earlier did see a significant decrease in visceral fat, no difference in subcutaneous fat. So losing visceral fat, cool. So that was all that was found with regarding body fat. Overall, studies involving apple cider vinegar, because I'm sure there's going to be people in here who are like, actually, there's this study and what have you. There's a lot of problems with the research. First and foremost, mainly animal studies. And the studies that are conducted in humans are not diverse, and they are usually very small. These studies tend to be very short term, such as, I believe the longest I saw was 12 weeks. That's not that long to know, are there ramifications of drinking 6 freaking tablespoons of apple cider vinegar every day? Spoiler alert, possibly. But we need longer studies. Most of the studies looking at blood sugar looked at people with type 2 diabetes and not type 1 diabetes. So I would like to see more people with pre-diabetes, more people with type 1 diabetes involved in these studies, as well as just people who don't have diabetes. Meta-analysis and systematic reviews that have been conducted on studies with apple cider vinegar found unclear to very high risk of bias in the reporting of the results. Many studies didn't control for potential variables. As I mentioned, that one Japanese study did. That was great, but the majority of the studies did not control for alcohol, acetic acid foods, things like that. A good chunk of the studies don't even report the dosage that they're using. Apple cider vinegar is an acid. It is an acidic food. People who would use it to heal their wounds and all of that would end up with chemical burns on their bodies. No bueno. High and consistent intake of apple cider vinegar has been linked to hypokalemia, or very low potassium, as well as low calcium. Some people were observed to have ulcerative injury to their esophagus, their mouth. You are drinking an acid. Like, this is one of the reasons why Coke or soda is considered to be so bad for your teeth and your mouth and everything. It's acidic. Gastric pain, hiccups, and just overall irritation and swelling of soft tissue. So that's a wrap for this video, folks. Stay tuned for part 2, where I share my thoughts about all of this, my interpretation of the research, and my recommendations as to who I think should be using apple cider vinegar, who I think should not, and how to incorporate it healthy and happily into your food habits. Yay! So, hope you enjoyed that video. If you have any thoughts, concerns, maybe you just want to tell me about your day, maybe you want to tell me what's your favorite animal. Are you a cat person? Are you a dog person? Are you both? Do you like neither? If you don't like either, we got problems, just saying. Okay, other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!